Twice, just say it once more, come on.
Hey Ghost Heads, it's Heidi from Channeling Spirits. For 32 years, fans have been clamoring for Beetlejuice 2, but will it ever get made? There's a long history there, and to tell it, we need to go back to 1984. Though it's hard to imagine, there was a time when Tim Burton wasn't a household name. In his early days, Burton was fired from Disney for making Frankenweenie, a film deemed too dark for children. However, it caught the attention of Paul Reubens, who insisted Tim direct Pee-wee's Big Adventure. Following its commercial success, Burton proved himself to be a bankable director and was sent several scripts.
When I got the script for Beetlejuice, it was amazing because it was the exact opposite of everything else I'd gotten. You know, most of these scripts were like, you know, A to B to C, all tied up in a neat little packet. Then I get this script that makes no sense. It has no real story. I worked with a lot of great actors that were very good at improv. You're on the set and get into a character and become it. Boy, there's amazing energy to that. It helped the script, it helped shape it a lot. And each day we felt like we were making this weird kind of experimental kind of thing in a way. And it was a Hollywood movie. And the good thing about that movie was it was so weird I didn't get a lot of notes because they didn't know what to say about it.
Burton, ever the outsider,
I myself am strange and unusual,
was attracted to the oddball comedy Beetlejuice. With a budget of $15 million, the film debuted on March 30th, 1988, and became the 10th highest grossing film that year. While its success made a sequel seem certain, it actually secured Burton as a director for the then upcoming Batman. One of many screenwriters who rewrote the Batman script was Jonathan Gems. Gems would go on to write Mars Attacks for Burton, but before that, he was hired to write a Beetlejuice sequel. Gems described the film in 1997 to an interviewer, Anthony Ferrante, who would go on to direct his own absurd comedy, Sharknado. Trying to avoid rehashing the original, Burton suggested that Gems use an idea about a legendary surfing story of a girl who calls a wave as the starting off point for what eventually became known as Beetlejuice Goes Hawaiian. Tim thought it would be funny to match the surfing backdrop of a beach movie with some sort of German expressionism, because they're totally wrong together. The script for Beetlejuice Goes Hawaiian is available online, but here are the highlights for those who don't want to read a 126-page car crash. It starts with Beetlejuice as a janitor who just slept with a burn victim that wears a paper bag over her head when the kahunas visit. The 5 wise men track Beetlejuice down as he mops the cat food section of an Afterlife supermarket. They are looking to rid themselves of the Deets, who apparently learned nothing from the last movie and are once again awful, opportunistic capitalists looking to exploit Kanuka Island. Having lost his bioexorcist license, Beetlejuice is all but impotent. Back on Hawaii, the Deets Paradise Resort Hotel is being protested by beatnik surfers and policed by Otho. Lydia quickly falls for Chemo, one of the beatniks. What is truly disturbing is the script reveals Lydia was 14 in the first film, and Beetlejuice has continued to long for her. He's been hoping to marry her so he can become mortal. Delia also wants to divorce Charles, and the beatniks plan to kidnap him with the guidance of the island elder, Mr. Maui. Mr. Maui teaches Lydia to create waves by singing like a whale.
It doesn't sound orca. It sounds like nothing I've ever heard. Oh.
She meditates and goes into a subatomic universe where she surfs on molecules and meets Dave, a human head attached to feet. The two find Beetlejuice, and Lydia gets his license back by being smoked by a dwarf. They return to the mortal world, and for no reason, Lydia allows Beetlejuice, who insists on being called Monty, 3 days to enjoy the beach. Monty, jealous of Lydia and Chemo, animates a Joshua tree to seduce the beatnik. With the tree woman kissing Chemo, Lydia and Monty dance the La Bamba and Limbo. Oh. Upon recognizing Beetlejuice, Otho is quickly set on fire, but manages to live. What? After swimming in the ocean as merpeople, Monty and Lydia see Chemo and the tree woman on his boat. You know, because why not? Lydia uses her whale singing to capsize the boat, which reverts the tree woman back into a plant. Beetlejuice agrees to scare away the construction crew, but instead gets a love potion from the kahunas. Enamored from the potion, Lydia and Monty, who is now posing as a rich Texan, approach Charles about marriage. Delia suggests that they have the wedding at the resort's opening after the surfing competition. Chemo and Monty compete in the surf-off, and Beetlejuice, aka Monty, wins after moonwalking on his surfboard. The wedding ceremony is continually interrupted, first by Chemo, then mummy-wrapped Otho, and finally, Beetlejuice's mother. Beetlejuice becomes Jucifer, destroyer of worlds, and summons dinosaur skeletons and the Easter Island heads to destroy the resort. Because, you know, Jucifer, aka Beetlejuice, aka Monty, then becomes a giant moth while the islanders run up the volcano. Oh, and a Neanderthal also tries to rape Delia. Pursued by dinosaurs and giant statues, Lydia summons a tidal wave to save the islanders. Lydia is nearly killed by Beetlejuice when Otho banishes him. Chemo and Lydia live happily ever after while Beetlejuice drinks the love potion and falls for the burn victim. Luckily, that wasn't the only sequel penned. Warren Scarron, script doctor for the first film, completed Beetlejuice in Love in July of 1990. Possibly inspired by Andrew Lloyd Webber's Phantom of the Opera, Scarron's sequel also featured a love triangle with an opera singer and a monster. Julia, a soprano, and her fiancé Leo have nearly completed a new operatic rendition of Romeo and Juliet. While celebrating their engagement, Leo is struck by lightning atop the Eiffel Tower and dies. In the afterlife, Leo meets Beetlejuice, who is working as a psychopomp, guiding new souls with a Coleman lantern. He is also punished from the first movie and has to clean the kennels of the dogs of hell. After seeing a picture of Julia, Beetlejuice is immediately attracted and goes about trying to convince Leo to return him to the world of the living. When Leo learns his opera will be performed with several alterations, he reincarnates as a rat. Julia is tricked into summoning Beetlejuice and obviously wreaks havoc. Rat Leo is suddenly killed and the dogs of hell drag Beetlejuice back to the afterlife. Leo is reincarnated once again as a baby who will be taken care of by Julia. It's weird, but not Jucifer weird. In early 1991, Burton hired Daniel Waters, a third writer,
Third down the charm.
for his take on the sequel. Burton liked his screenplay for Heathers and wanted him to pen his dark comedy. Waters only had an outline which centered around Beetlejuice being summoned in the White House and harassing the Clinton family. Winona Ryder and Michael Keaton both agreed to return for Beetlejuice 2, so long as Tim would direct it. Then Warner Brothers offered Burton a choice on which sequel he wanted to pursue, Batman or Beetlejuice. Tempted with total creative control, he chose the former and had Waters write Batman Returns instead. Thank goodness. In August of 1993, Pamela Norris was reportedly working on a sequel, but the project remained in developmental hell.
Come on. Hey, where'd you go? Oh, hey, come on. You gotta work with me here. I'm just trying to cut a deal. What do you want me to do?
By 1996, Warner Brothers was still interested in summoning the ghost with the most. They approached Kevin Smith for a rewrite of Beetlejuice Goes Hawaiian.
It's showtime.
Which he declined.
Oh, no!
To which I was like, really, didn't we say all we needed to say with the first Beetlejuice? Must we go tropical?
Interestingly, Smith instead chose to write an unproduced Superman movie, which Burton would direct, starring a long-haired Nicolas Cage. That would have been Jucifer level weird. In January 1997, Billy Frolick was also offered a chance to rewrite it. But after that, it seems the Hawaiian holiday was canceled.
Don't you hate it when that happens? Let's go, Barbara.
Gems believed too much time had passed. Winona is too old for the role, and the only way they could make it would be to totally recast it. As the 25th anniversary approached, Warner Brothers seemingly found renewed interest.
Sure, talk amongst yourselves.
On September 6th, 2011, they hired Seth Grahame-Smith, who had collaborated with Burton on Dark Shadows. The initial announcement seemed to indicate a reboot, but Grahame-Smith always intended to write a direct sequel.
When Warner's started talking to us about it and came to me and said, what do you think about it? I said, there are two things. One, it cannot be a remake or a reboot or anything like that. Forget it. It has to be a straight, pure sequel. If it's 27 years after the first movie, then 27 years have transpired in the movie.
Grahame-Smith wanted his sequel to take place in the present and sparingly use Beetlejuice with a less is more approach like the first film. He was also intent on doing it justice.
But to me, Beetlejuice is the most sacred. That movie means so much to me as a fan. And I don't want to be the guy standing up here a couple of years from now looking at everybody here and saying, I'm sorry, I fucked up Beetlejuice. So here's what I say about that. I met with Michael Keaton about it. We sat, we talked. I met with Tim about it. We sat, we talked. And they all said the same thing, which is, if you come up with the script, the story that is worthy of us actually doing this for real, and something that, is not just about cashing in, is not just about forcing a reboot or a remake down someone's throat, then we'll think about it. But I don't want to make Son of Mask.
But by March of 2012, Tim and company were still waiting on Seth.
Right now it's on me. Right now it's on me to deliver them an outline and a script that, gets everybody excited enough to actually pull the trigger and come back.
And 2 months later, they were still waiting.
Where it stands now is I'm working on some stories. Tim is waiting for me. And
in October of 2012, Winona was being asked if she would collaborate with Burton again after remaking Frankenweenie with him.
But I'm game for anything with Tim, pretty much.
Finally, on March 12th, 2013, Grahame-Smith posted a single image on his Instagram and
It's showtime.
on Twitter, which seemed to indicate he was done with his script. That year, Katy Perry expressed interest in playing the role of Lydia.
Oh, honey.
Oh, come on.
In December of 2014, following Burton's new film, Big Eyes, Rolling Stone asked if he would ever work on Beetlejuice 2. I hope so, because there's only one Beetlejuice, and that's Keaton. I miss the character, and I think it's probably closer than ever in some ways, but we haven't started yet. I'd love to work with him. He's such a cathartic character. 1 month later, Grahame-Smith was interviewed on the status of the sequel. I've emailed with Michael Keaton. I know he's excited about the idea. I know Tim is excited about the idea. Where it stands now is Tim's got to get ready to make Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. And then hopefully we are set. Deals are done, and we're waiting in the wings ready to go right after Peregrine's wrap-up. The ideal timeline is we're really getting into it towards the end of the year.
Am I correct in understanding that there's going to be a Beetlejuice 2?
I don't know. People keep asking me, it's on, it's off. I mean, it's the one thing I've wanted to do for a long, long time. And by this time, look, people either want to do it or they don't want to do it, And Tim gets very busy and then I get busy. So, it's hard to say when the two of us, because I really only want to do it with him if he's involved in some way, hopefully as the director, that'd be the best. But we'll see.
Later that year, on Late Night with Seth Meyers, Winona seemed to confirm it.
It was very hush-hush, top secret. I don't know what may happen, I don't know. And then he did what he was doing some press for Big Eyes, and he did an on-camera interview, and he said, oh yeah, we're doing it, and Winona's gonna be in it.
That's very exciting.
And I was like,
very exciting news.
so can I say that, I mean, if he said it, I can.
If he said it, then you can't, that's just, it's on the record now.
In March of 2016, Catherine O'Hara was asked if she would return.
I wish I could do it, but I haven't heard anything. I met my husband on that movie. He designed the set, so we would both love to be involved. But, I keep hearing, like you, I keep hearing about it every once in a while, but it doesn't seem to go anywhere. But I don't know. I'd love to see it. I'd love to be in it.
A month later, rumors began to swirl that Johnny Depp would replace Keaton. Burton went on to squash that gossip, but also plans for a sequel.
We are leaving now.
Then, a month later, he stated,
I mean, this is the thing. It's something that I'm interested, but there's so many stories, as you probably know. I'm, dumping, Michael Keaton for Johnny Depp or this or that. And it's like, and I've talked to these people, and they didn't want to hear this, so they've just made up a story. So there's lots of, made up stories. But the fact of that is, I have talked to Michael, and I have talked to Winona, and I've talked to a few people, and it's something that I really, would like to do in the right circumstances. But it's one of those films where it has to be right, because I would never really, it's not a kind of a movie that cries out for, it's not the Beetlejuice trilogy, that kind of a thing. So it's something that if the elements are right, and because I do love the character, and I think Michael's amazing as that character, and we'll see. But there's no, there's no nothing concrete yet.
Several months later, even Gina Davis was asked if she would return.
That's my point.
Oh.
It's
a good point.
This is what I say, because people always say, if they do a Beetlejuice 2, are you going to be in it?
Exactly.
And I would love to,
Absolutely.
Except I think ghosts don't age. And if they don't, with Alec Baldwin and I, one of us has aged,
Then, work on a new Beetlejuice project was announced, the musical. With every new project, the cast has been continually asked about the status of the sequel.
Speaking of what's next, what's happening with the Beetlejuice sequel?
I don't know. And I'm not being coy.
Have you thought about saying Beetlejuice 3 times and see if the movie just appears?
And then in October of 2017, yet another writer was brought on for a rewrite, Mike Vukadinovich. Burton and Keaton finally reunited with Dumbo, and it seemed there was once again hope that they would continue to collaborate. The 30th anniversary came and went with no new progress.
Can't see you, right?
The musical had a successful tryout at the National Theater in Washington, D.C., and went on to Broadway. Even Danny Elfman was asked about a second film. No, oddly, Burton has not mentioned it to me. A year ago, I saw Michael Keaton, and he mentioned, so we're doing Beetlejuice 2. And I said, well, you'd know more than I do. And I've heard nothing about it since. Then on April 2nd, 2019, USA Today asked Tim Burton what was going on with the sequel. Nothing, he mumbled. But is Beetlejuice 2 going to happen? I don't know, I doubt it, Burton said, and waved off further questions. So they asked Warner Brothers on the status, and studio spokeswoman Candice McDonough officially stated the project isn't in active development.
You bunch of losers! You're working with a professional here!
But the rumors persist. On December 31st, 2020, Style alleged that Burton will finally make Beetlejuice 2 with a juicy role for Johnny Depp, perhaps even the title role. Then on January 7th, 2021, We Got This, the incredibly unreliable news source, had an article about Daniel Reitman leaking that Warner Brothers wants to do 2 new movies with Keaton.
I'm Batman. And boys, it's showtime.
Given Depp's dismissal from Warner Brothers' Fantastic Beasts 3, it's unlikely both rumors are true. Despite many fans and cast longing for another film, it's hard to say whether it will materialize. Would you rather wait for a great sequel, or would you have settled to see Beetlejuice Goes Hawaiian? Do you think a second film will ever be made? If you liked this video and think we deserve it,
I'll eat anything you want me to eat. I'll swallow anything you want me to swallow. Come on down now. Chew on a dog.
please subscribe. We just released our first pieces of official merchandise. Check out the link in the description to see what's available. Select Patreon tiers get 5 to 10% off. Woo! As always, keep coming back for more spooktacular videos. I'm Heidi with Channeling Spirits, and thanks for watching. That was... wow. Wow.
It was a hot mess inside a dumpster fire, inside a train wreck.